It is middle of June. We are in summer.
It's going to fly by real
It
fast.
is.
We have
There's-
VBS this week. So
Oh,
we're doing, it's a camping theme
Hmm.
for VBS, which is ironic because we just went camping this past weekend for Marcus's birthday with some friends. His like little best buddy from soccer. So we're going and it'll be a ton of fun. But now we're back from camping and we're doing VBS
Oh, fun.
with a camping theme. And our children's ministry coordinator, she's like, so you're a group leader. Do you want to be Marcus's group leader or would you like to have a little break and like do other kids? I was like, no, put me with Marcus. And he's so excited because last year I wasn't his group's leader. I was like, this is kind of our thing. I know that you probably struggled with this too, but it's very challenging with two kids, like splitting the time,
Yes.
right? Especially with the baby.
1000%.
So this is kind of like our thing. Ethan's going to continue to go to daycare. And then Marcus and I have that week. He'll do afternoons with grandma because I have to come home and work, but at least we'll get some time together in the mornings.
I need some more time with Carson because
Mhm.
Carson's very much so with Nick right now because of baseball. Carson, all he wants to do is play baseball. And so it's great because Nick loves baseball and is very good at baseball. And Carson's like, Mom, can you pitch to me? And I'm like, I truly cannot. Like, I would love to. It will not be helpful.
Marcus would just get pissed because I'm bad at it.
Throwing a baseball is the one skill of sports I cannot do. Like, I can do so many other things. And Nick tries to teach me. And I'm like, he's like, you're pushing it. I'm like, I feel like I'm throwing it. So I don't know what to tell you. It's like, I know you're telling me I'm doing one thing, but my body feels like I'm doing the right thing. So
Yeah.
anyways, but yeah, it's hard. And I volunteered at church for 3 years, every other Sunday, and was with Carson and then was with Taylor. And I told the church, I was like, I just need a break. Like I already have a lot on my plate. I like going to church and I felt like I was constantly missing church.
Yeah.
But they have Bible, they call it Summer Adventure and it's for a week, but it's at night. It's from 6 to 8.
Oh, that's good.
And it's nice, but they only do kindergarten and up. So I can't send Taylor. And so total transparency, like I want you to take both of my kids and for me to get a break. So I don't think we're going to do it. It's also late. It's like every night for the week, getting home at 8:30 with Carson just might be.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's talk totally different topic today. And before we dive into this, make sure you're watching us on YouTube because Liz and I make faces. We are animated. We are entertaining. I think it's why we've lasted so long as a podcast.
Probably. I don't know.
There are some people that are just snore fest to listen to.
Oh, yeah. No, some podcasters are such a drag. I'm like, oh, and it's like the monotone and like all they do is talk about the topic. There's no like personality to them in terms of like your life. Like I feel that we share a lot about our life between our podcast and social media and things like that. But the faces, can we just talk about the faces? First of all,
Art.
This is everywhere. This is not Art's fault. So I texted him the other day and I said, why did you put this picture of me on Spotify? And he said, Spotify chooses that like cover because we also have video on Spotify. Okay, fair. But Instagram stories, if I go back to my archive and I'm looking at I should take a picture, excuse my French. I should take a picture of this because it gets the worst photos where like my mouth is half open. I just look like I'm on drugs and I'm not. And yeah, I don't know. Social media, Instagram, if you're out there, number one, you need to be kinder to us because your views.
So hard.
And then again, they're going to be like, it's your hook, it's your problem. No, we talked about this last night on the Oliveda call that things have really drastically shifted and changed.
Who's their views? I don't know.
The people who are making like all the comedy stuff. And I need to take like a comedy class, I think, because I want to be funny. I'm just not really funny.
I don't sell comedy. I sell healing.
I know, but also you can be funny and sell healing at the same time is what they tell me.
I don't know. I feel like the really good people that are really good at what they do.
That's all they
don't do comedy though.
But
like me in our world.
True.
But yeah, like do I want to go viral or do I want to be respected?
Right. Exactly. No, I want to be respected. And so, whatever, if it's less views, but it changes 5 people's lives, that's why we do it. So anyways, wherever you're watching us from, if you have questions, if you like this episode, right, please like, comment, share, review. If it's a negative review, you could just keep that to yourself. We don't need any of that negativity in our lives. Oh, my Atlanta. But we're going to dive into cardiovascular health and thinking beyond cholesterol. We're going to talk a little bit about inflammatory markers that we look at on our full blood work panel. So if you guys haven't heard, we do a full blood work panel and review. It's just a standalone, a one-time, 1-hour call with our team to go over that. We've expanded our team, which is also really exciting. And we're hosting our first live event in September 5th and 6th here in Arlington Heights, Illinois. It's about 20 minutes from O'Hare. We have a hotel block. We've got shuttle service from the hotel. It's a very intimate event. We want you to be here live with us. We're flying in several functional practitioners that are amazing, and they're just going to rock your world in a good way for those 2 days. So if you can make it, we'd love to see you there. There are a few early bird tickets left. So if you look at the link in the show notes, you can grab that, $397 for 2 days. And honestly, that's a steal for the amount that you are going to get poured into you from the speakers, but also from our partners. So check the link in the show notes for that. We would love to see you, love to hug you, love to hang out. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk cardiovascular health. Maybe what your doctor isn't running because they're not even calling you when shit's hitting the fan, like your HSCRP is at an 8 or a 10 or a 12, or maybe your cholesterol score is through the roof and no one calls you. That happened to a family member.
Oh, hey, but your cholesterol is 225. You should be on a statin.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even come at me with this bullshit. So let's talk about this, okay? Your total cholesterol may come back high. But does that mean you are at risk? Does that mean you are at risk for heart disease? Does that mean you're at risk for a heart attack? We are going to talk today about the entire cardiovascular risk profile, okay? So that is our goal today, and why, number one, traditional lab work is not enough, okay? So typically what you will get tested, total cholesterol, LDL, HDL, triglycerides, those things, right? Here's a fun fact. 50% of people who suffer from heart attacks have normal or low LDL. LDL is not my concern. But is your body inflamed? That is my concern. Are your vessels under stress? Is your metabolic system contributing to the damage? So this is where we need to look at what other labs are out there and what they're telling you. So we typically run about 80% of these. There's a couple of these that are on our advanced lipid profile. We don't run these off the bat in most cases. If something comes back flagged in like really high homocysteine, high platelets, really, really high LDL, I might look into these. So let's start with these 4 first, because these are the advanced lipid profiles. Apolipoprotein B, okay? So this measures the number of particles carrying bad cholesterol, that inflammatory, things that are going to be sticky to that arterial wall. Not just how much cholesterol is floating around, but what's carrying the bad guys, okay? So more particles of this equal more risk. Apolipoprotein A, this reflects the protective HDL particles, all right? It's about the ratios here. You want this high. It helps clear cholesterol from your arteries. One thing that I explain to people is if you think about your artery, it's kind of this little tube, right? One of the risk factors is your arterial wall. Is that inflamed? Is it rigid? Or is it nice and flexible? It moves with things. It's not going to be an issue. And then you think about the blood flow through that artery. Is it syrupy? Is it watery? Like, is it thick and flowing really slow, which is going to create more pressure on the artery walls? Or is it nice and fluid? And then you think about these lipoproteins, the LDL, the HDL, and the types, right? Are they too much LDL, the wrong types of LDL that are sticking to those arterial walls? And if there's not enough HDL that's helped scavenging those, right? So it's kind of this whole risk profile. It's not just LDL. Lipoprotein little a, diving deeper into that LDL number. These is genetic. These are sticky. Think of these like the Velcro cholesterol. They build plaque fast, okay? It is a major heart risk, very rarely tested. Often actually genetic. So there's about 20 to 25% of the population deals with lipoprotein issues, and they're worsened by lifestyle issues. And then LDLP, okay? So LDL-C tells you how much cholesterol. I always say, think about like a bucket of balls, okay? LDL-C tells you how many balls are in that bucket. LDL-P tells you what types they are, as well as that apolipoprotein B and that lipoprotein A, all right? So LDL-P tells you how many LDL bullets are in your bloodstream. Those small, dense ones, a lot more damaging, okay? Think about golf ball versus beach ball. The golf ball is those LDLPs. How many golf balls are in there that could cause more damage to the arterial wall, ultimately leading to that rupturing and that heart attack?
Yeah, which is very frustrating because a lot of times they're going to give you a statin that comes with worse side effects and makes LDL particles worse.
Raises
instead of
little a.
Yeah, instead of actually first looking at underlying, root causes, number one, and checking other markers like a fractionated lipid panel. I am also a really big fan of calcium scores. I send a lot of people back to their doctor to get a calcium score done
Yep.
because that is going to tell us, like, are we truly at risk of a cardiovascular event? Or when we look at the next marker that we run, which is high sensitivity reactive protein, this is a marker of systemic inflammation, right? And it is linked to, and is a very strong predictor for cardiovascular events, especially when we look at somebody dealing with metabolic disease or insulin resistance, high blood sugar, and thinking about, type 2 diabetes, even type 1 diabetes. But a lot of times they're looking at this and they're like, oh, well, it's out of range. Let's watch it. Well, let's watch it till, I come in here because I've had a heart attack or a stroke. I don't want to settle for that. I don't think anybody else should either. And when we think about genetics, we know that a lot of people can be more genetically prone to this. My husband is one of those individuals. We ran a fractionated lipid panel and we looked, and he wasn't at a higher risk because he wasn't dealing with a lot of the bullets. He just had big fluffy particles for his LDL. So that was driving his total LDL up. So that's really important. Get in and look at that fractionated lipid panel, but also look at your HSCRP. It's standard for us on every panel. Another thing that's standard on every panel is homocysteine. So this is a marker for methylation. The way I like to describe this to individuals, layman's terms, is really helping you understand how your body is able to clean up oxidative stress, take fat-soluble things and toxins and turn them into water-soluble so you can pee, poop, sweat them out, and it's not building up in the body. When we see homocysteine elevated, which I like to see it between a 4 and a 7, you are at a higher risk of inflammation, neurological issues, damage to the vessel walls. And so this is where we're going to look at underlying root causes, right? What is going on with all of your detoxification pathways, not just methylation? Are there, anemias? So this is where we're going to think about pernicious anemia, various types of B vitamins, choline, trimethylglycine, a variety of other things that help this methylation process run smoothly. And if it is elevated, there is an increased risk for stroke. So I think that's also really important. And if you look at your doctor and say, can you check my homocysteine marker? They're probably going to look at you like you have 4 heads. So just know, we're telling you the information here. Layman's terms, it's $18 for me to order it through LabCorp as part of our panel. You might get charged like $130 if you're going to run this, through your insurance, or I've seen it with Quest, maybe in the 30s or 40s. It's not super expensive if you just go to a lab on your own, but sometimes when they charge it to your insurance, you're going to get that higher rate, and then whatever's not covered by your insurance, because they decided Sally didn't need her homocysteine checked because they don't even understand what it means, or they don't want you to know because they want you disease so that you rely on their medication so that you keep coming back and you keep fueling big pharma. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we get into blood sugars, because if you have blood pressure issues, you have an insulin issue, guaranteed, because blood sugar dysfunction equals insulin resistance, which equals higher blood sugars, and higher blood pressure, which equals endothelial dysfunction, okay? When you have chronically high insulin, you have chronic inflammation. And in most of these people, it turns into cardiovascular disease. Like, diabetes is the gateway to all of these things. Blood sugar dysregulation is the gateway to all of these things, which is why we overcorrect for it. Like, at the end of the day, I want someone's blood sugars borderline low. Like, I don't want to say low, but like, I want them A1C 4.9, 5.0, 5.1, because then I know their average blood sugars are in the 80s, 90s. If I have someone at 5.4, 5.5, you aren't pre-diabetic yet, but your average blood sugars are in the 110s, 115s. That's inflammatory. Things don't just magically get better on their own. They typically get worse. And so blood sugar is a huge impactor to all of these things. And then we look at platelet count. So overactive platelets is an increased clotting risk, okay? So you don't want platelets above about a 365, 385. So that's why you also, when you have higher platelets, look for trends with lipoprotein little a, fibrinogen, and HSCRP to kind of assess that clotting risk, because clotting is a piece of this, right? It's not the only piece, but it's a piece of this cardiovascular risk. And then blood pressure, okay? Even high normal blood pressure over time increases that stress on the arteries little by little. And that's impacted by hydration. It's impacted by hormones, the estradiol. We have low estradiol, blood pressure goes up because estrogen is very protective to the cells, especially those arterial cells, inflammation, mineral status, all of these things are really important. And so when you're looking at this entire risk profile, it is so much bigger than cholesterol. We are looking at homocysteine, we're looking at that inflammatory profile, we're looking at the blood sugar profile, the metabolic function, we're looking at stress, sleep, diet, exercise, everything. It is not just cholesterol. I would say cholesterol, honestly, among all of these, is probably my least concern. If I'm looking at a total cholesterol
Yeah.
LDL, I'm much more concerned about homocysteine, platelets, metabolic function, all of those things, because total cholesterol can actually be really protective.
Yeah. So we also think about when we've talked about this in many other podcasts. We've had the paleocardiologist on, we've had Dr. Rob on, we've talked about this just separate in terms of menopause. When estrogen declines, cholesterol increases because your hormones are built from cholesterol. Turning into pregnenolone, your mother hormone, it all filters down. Your body is trying to give you hormones. So I agree. And I think the big thing that I would be watching in addition to the fractionated lipid panel, the HSCRP, the homocysteine and fasting insulin is high triglycerides.
Yep.
And ALT, AST, GGT, some of your liver enzymes, because that's going to tell us what's going on with the liver. Once we see those things are elevated, liver damage has already been done. So this is really where you need to look at your diet, look at your lifestyle, look at the things that you can be doing to help support the liver and reduce the triglycerides and bring your ALT, AST back into line. And then if your GGT is high or low, that gives us information in terms of, is this malabsorption or is it a glutathione need? There's a lot there. So that's why we look at this all together, because we want to take that 10,000 foot view. We never want to just say, hey, person has LDL high and cholesterol high, let's put a statin on them. Or let's put them on a supplement even, right? We want to look at the total picture and figure out where this is coming from. And if a lot of it is being driven by your inflammatory diet, we got to start there. The foundations are everything. You cannot out supplement or out medicate. Yeah, maybe your medication, your statin changes your lab work profile. Awesome. But if you did that fractionated lipid panel, you did the calcification score, you looked at your HSCRP and your insulin and you followed those trends, bet you those things don't improve if all you do is go on a statin. I would bet you they'd probably get a little bit worse even. So that's what we have for you today. You can have normal cholesterol and still be at great risk. So if you have any questions, reach out to us, leave a comment, like, share, review, rate the podcast. That's how we grow.